Hello, this is Faith at Faith and Books, and I'm going to do a part 2 on recycling, which I largely focused on the problem with plastic recycling, although I talked about cardboard and paper and aluminum and tin and glass, which are all recyclable, and we can really improve things by improving our recycling systems for those resources. Plastic is really problematic, and I went off on that, but I didn't finish all my thoughts, I realized, so I'm doing a part 2 on that. Oh, there's my son getting his laundry. Didn't even know he was down. Anyway, so the first of all, I want to talk about why plastics are so problematic. The first thing is what they're made from. They're made from petrochemical byproducts. So, and that's a what's the word, limited resource that we're trying to move away from in terms of dependence, because it causes so much pollution and it's finite. At some point we're going to run out, right? And so so to increase our dependence on such a problematic resource is not good, and yet that's what we've done. We've made everything into plastic. Now, you can make plastic from natural resources, and people are trying to do that, say from corn or other things, but they aren't quite there yet in terms of, I think, because it's just so cheap and easy to make plastic from petrochemical byproducts, because it's the infrastructure is on such a vast scale that just it's much cheaper to do that. But but there is hope in that we can look to maybe making plastic out of other more natural resources that are less destructive and less finite, But that's a big problem with plastic right there. Before anything, before we talk about how we can't really recycle them and how destructive they are to the environment in other ways, we can talk about how destructive they are just to be made. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that I keep using the term recycling, but you can't actually recycle plastic. You can downcycle it to something, but the quality of the plastic, when you melt it down and remake it, it's brittle, and it turns into an inferior type of plastic, and you can only really reuse that plastic 1 or 2 times effectively. So you can't really recycle plastic. It doesn't work in like a circular fashion, the way aluminum can just be recycled, or glass can just be recycled over and over again. That just doesn't, that's not the reality, and it's kind of a misuse of the term recycling to apply it to plastic. You should say downcycling. You're downcycling plastic. It only has 1 or 2 times that it can be recycled. It's an inferior quality each time, and then that's it. What you're left with eventually is microplastics, and they never go away. So plastic does not biodegrade. It cannot return to the earth. What it does is it photodegrades. So it breaks down into tinier and tinier till microscopic pieces that are always just still plastic. And these plastics have all sorts of issues because they have their leaching out chemicals. They also attract toxins. There's something about them that makes toxins sort of gather on these tiny pieces of plastic, microplastics. So they're very polluting. And we have them everywhere. When we wash our clothes that are made out of synthetics, it gets washed into the water. Microplastics shed off into the water. Every plastic bag that ever existed breaks down into a microplastic. So it's the problem, if you think about it, is absolutely enormous. So plastic cannot truly be recycled. It can only be downcycled, and that's limited. And then it turns into this horribly polluting material, microplastics. and they've been found. They found them in our bodies. They found them in the deepest part of the ocean. They're here, and we don't know how to get rid of them. Right? Every piece of plastic that was ever made still exists. It can't go away because they changed the. I don't understand the chemistry of it, but they change the just the structure of it. It's such a cellular level or whatever that you can't. It's unlike any other substance in the natural world. So it's quite bad. So I want to clarify that about just using that term recycling and why plastic is such a problematic thing and why the less plastic we use in the world, the better. So it shouldn't be for toys. It shouldn't be for packaging of foods. It shouldn't be used, the other day I found a happy toy that the 6-year-old didn't even want, wasn't even interested in because he's got too many things to play with. Still in its little, it's a plastic thing, junky plastic toy wrapped in a little plastic bag. It's just sitting in my house unwanted. We're really, really reckless, and we're hurting, our children's future by being so wanton with this. And it's these huge multinational corporations are just churning this stuff out almost frantically because it's where the money is, and it's really, really bad, and we have to figure out how to stop it. And the other thing, two things I want to talk about is people trying to put the brakes on it or somehow turn this to our benefit. In my county, we burn our trash, and we actually get federal funding for being green, because we take our trash and we put it in an incinerator, and that's how we generate a lot of the electricity in my county. And I happened to be in a Zoom meeting a couple of weeks ago with a representative from the company that runs these incinerators. I think it's Coventa, Coventa, and he was just talking about what a great thing it was that they're burning all this trash and how they recover all this metal from the trash, which of course then they can sell. So that's great. Companies have to make money in order to exist, right? It's not that I'm against. I'm against just thinking only of profit at the expense of everything else. So he was talking up about how great it was and how they had all these scrubbers, and the pollution isn't really that bad, and blah 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 blah. And it is a problem with putting carbon in the air. They do have to address that. But at the end, the woman who was running it asked, so what do you do with all that ash? So there's all this toxic ash that's left over from this stuff, and that goes to a landfill. So it's not the perfect solution. It is a way, I feel a little less guilty when I throw things in the trash because I know it's just going to be burned. I don't feel good about throwing plastic in the trash because I know it releases all sorts of toxins, and I don't trust that they can scrub all those toxins out. But if I'll wind up throwing, away soiled pizza boxes or something like that, you can burn that, and that's okay. I feel like that's not going to do anything terrible. But, it's an imperfect solution, but maybe it's slightly better than going to the landfill. And the other thing in my county just did, or I guess the whole state did, and I had been working on this for a few years, and then I kind of lost my mojo or whatever, went off to do other things, and then suddenly it passed. But they now have a 5-cent tax on those plastic bags, grocery bags, but they have all sorts of exceptions. Like if I go to Home Depot, I brought my own bag to Home Depot, and the cashier wanted to give me this plastic bag, and I said, no, I can, or maybe I was just going to carry it out. It was just a couple things. I was just going to carry it out. And she said, oh, we don't have the tax on plastic bags here. So it's like, here, take a plastic bag. You're not going to, you don't have to pay 5 cents. But I tell you, I live in an area, people don't even think twice. Maybe they do now because inflation is really going up. People do not even think twice, though. I mean, I see people sitting and idling their cars. They're wasting gas. Gas is incredibly expensive right now. They don't care. And it does not bother them that they're paying 5 cents a bag and they're hauling 20 bags home. That it's not prohibitive. So I feel like what the naysayers said actually has panned out, that it's more of a tax on the poor, because they might not have those returnable bags that they can bring, and they actually do care about saving 5 cents here and there. And so I feel like, and I don't feel like I see any decrease in plastic bags whatsoever. In fact, I was at a grocery store standing in line, and somebody said, did you bring your own bags? Because it's a store where a lot of people do bring their own bags. And he said, no. He goes, oh, just give me the plastic bags. I don't mind paying for them. So I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully it's moving it slightly forward, but I don't know. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating. Okay, I've already talked 11 minutes, so I got to shut up about this topic. But I will link to a video that I found. I think it's a little bit exaggerated, because I think there are good things to plastic, and I think we need to be discerning and figure out where it's worth it and where it isn't. But the truth is, we really need to make it a priority to reduce plastic in our lives. It's very hard to do. I live with people that do not care, or they absolutely can't take it into their minds that their buying practices are generating a lot of harm. They just don't get it. And it's ubiquitous, so it's really hard to always be conscious about it. But we need to really start trying. So I'll link to this video below, and I guess I'll end right now, because now it's at 12 minutes. All right, thank you for listening. Hope I wasn't too long-winded. Take care, and happy Sustainability July. Bye-bye.